Hello YouTube land, back for another video of Overpop. Again, the pop is still Dr. Pepper. I seem to do loads of these videos in one straight run with one bottle of something. I mean, do you remember the over cider? Of course that thing was 2 litres of cider, and Scrumpy, that was strong stuff. So, be fair. Water's just water, so that makes sense. But no. Now, when I said the first video, I said that this wasn't just going to be about video games. So this one isn't going to be about video games. Although there have been video games based on this thing. But I'm not going to be talking about the whole thing, because the whole thing is Warhammer 40,000, or Warhammer 40k. If you don't know what Warhammer 40k is, it's a turn-based strategy war game set in the 41st millennia, or the year 40,000, 40k, where humans have advanced so far into the universe that they've forgotten their roots. Yeah, it's really... I've never been a fan of the humans in 40k, if I'm honest. Just because there are too many armies to choose from with humans. I've never knew who to pick. So I preferred aliens. Xenos. But not Tyranids. And I'll get to Tyranids on some other video. I'm gonna do a video occasionally on a separate army. And I thought I'd do this video on my new guys, the Orks. You see that? It is a squat green little man with silver teeth and well, basically a jaws of life for an arm. That's not even an attachment. The whole backstory to the Power Claw is that they have their arm ripped off and then that stapled on. I'm not even joking. The actual codex says it is stapled on. So yeah. But I want to talk a little bit about Orks. Now, I've been playing 40k and Warhammer as a whole since I was 14, so we're talking 7-8 years now. We're talking about a third of my entire lifetime. And even before that, my older brother played it as well. So Warhammer's been something I've known about since I was very young. And ever since I got into it, I always played the very serious races. Like I started with Tau Empire, who I'll do a video on at some point. And then I went on to Dark Eldar, who, if you know about them, they're basically sadomasochists. Who take no joy in it. It's like, you say sadomasochist and you automatically think comedy, especially in most games. But no, these guys are sadomasochistic murderers rather than sadomasochistic comedy. There's no funniness in it. It's all, we will kill you and drain your soul, and the more we torture you, the more we will feed, blah 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 blah. And if I'm honest, that's just a bit creepy. Yeah, it gets a bit too much with Dark Eldar with me. But then I had to go with... a bit with Tyranids. Sorry, all my armies are up there, so it's been a... yeah, I had to go with Tyranids. They were okay. Again, another serious one. And then I did Chaos Space Marines. You can't... The only way you can get more serious than Chaos Space Marines is... Space Marines. Is the traditional Space Marines. I'll get to the humans later. Because I'm just going to do one straight video on all 4-5 armies of humans. The humans, it's more like 30 armies, quite frankly. But whatever. This video is about Orks. Orks... I was drawn to Orks, as I said, because I'd always played the very serious races. The very... we shall do this for the greater good, we shall do this for our people. For the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. There we go. Everyone had a chant and a banner, and even the Tyranids had this whole thing about I mean, they were basically a virus. The Tyranids are. They're an insectoid virus that takes over planets. So they're not serious in the sense that they individually are serious, but they're serious in the sense that this is a problem that the universe needs to deal with. Orks, though, their war cry is Warg. Warg. What that basically is war, grr. It's war with a growl. And if you do it without pulling a stupid face like I've been doing, like, Warg, you're not doing it right. Warg. And that's basically their religion. There are whole bits in their codex about how some races think that orcs are inferior, while other races see orcs as being the pinnacle of society, because they don't have questions of what happens after. They don't have questions like where did we come from. They don't even have They don't have questions. They only have answers, and the majority of their answers are listen to the big guy, collect some teeth, and let's have a nice rug. They are a race that thrives on combat and war and warg. And so much so that even their gods represent this. Gork and Mork. Gork, who is brutal but cunning, and Mork, who is cunning but brutal. They are basically the same god. But there's two of them, and one of them wields a giant club, and the other one wields a pair of daggers. And they spend their entire time in the warp beating demons up and stopping demons from escaping. So they're basically the good guys. You know, if you're not Chaos or Necrons or whatever. They're also Orcs are definitely not the good guys if you're talking about Tau or humans. Humans depends on which group. Obviously, most humans are like, kill the Xenos, kill the aliens. They are impure in the eyes of the machine god emperor, who we keep alive on against his will and by sacrificing virgins. I'm not even joking on that one. Librarian psychers, they're basically priests. That therefore makes them basically virgins. So, yeah. But we can talk about the sexiness of the Astartes some of the time. There is none. There we go. That was the some other time. There is none. This is a very unsexy game. I mean, to be fair, you can't call a game where you spend the majority of your time in well-lit, well-ventilated rooms painting figures 1.5 inches tall, in intricate detail, and giving them names sexy. There is nothing sexy about that. No, back to Orcs though. The reason I liked Orcs was because they were funny, but I didn't realise how funny they were until I opened the codex. I've been reading that codex for about a month or two now, and I have not stopped laughing. Whether it's some of their weapons, like they have this one called the shock attack gun, which you'd think shoots lightning, but no. There's a race of orc species called Grots, because you've got Grots, Gretchens, Orcs, basically. Then you've got the Squigs as well, who are, like, they're pigs. But more complex than that, because you've got those different Squigs. But the Grots are like... Okay, if an orc is 6 foot tall and made of muscle, a Gretchen is 2 foot tall and made of gristle. A Grot is 1 foot tall and made of munchins. They are made to be eaten. But the shock attack gun, it pulls them in like a vacuum cleaner and shoots them through space and time in a general direction. And one of the results you can actually get is where the Grot reappears inside an enemy's chest and it rips its way out. Because obviously the Grot is going to be in an insane frenzy and probably claustrophobic by this point. So, wow. Basically, imagine Predator, Alien, but instead of having like the alien spawn popping out of someone's chest, you've got a foot tall, angry, psychotic green munchkin coming out of your chest. And it's not singing, it's screaming bloody warg, most likely. Or it's pissing itself out of sheer terror. Grots aren't the bravest, neither are Gretchens. Orks aren't even brave, they're just stupid. But that's the best bit. They're funny in their stupidity. It's like watching old British slapstick comedy. Like, it's very much like The Young Ones. Because no matter what happens, someone is gonna have their face caved in by the end of the episode. Don't know what else to say about them aside from they're funny. Well, I guess the only other thing to say about them is what they actually are. Because I thought orcs were... well, orcs than anything else. They are an alien race of green-skinned monstrosities that rampage and love to war and love to beat stuff up. What I was not expecting was that they are half mushroom. Yeah. They are a hybrid animal mushroom thing that was supposedly made by a higher orc called the Brain Boys. Oh yeah, they also talk like football hooligans, so everything is boys and BOYZ and guns, GUNZ or GUNZZ. And there's also some ideas for what the Brain Boys were. But there's this other really cool thing about them where, in actual fact, all orcs are psychers. And that means they have ability to control the warp, or psychic energy. But they don't know this. So rather than manifesting it as bolts of lightning, it basically means that as long as they believe something is going to work, it's going to work. Because if you look at half of their machines and half of their guns, they should not work. I mean, there are guns that are literally duct taped together. And they work. They work very reliably. But they shouldn't. There are pistols that would look like they'd fire a 9mm round. Or a .22 caliber round. And actually they're firing .5 caliber, 5 caliber rounds, magnum rounds. They shouldn't work. They have ships that are actually made out of meteorites. That shouldn't work. Literally the entirety of... I mean, with most of 40k, you can say, that shouldn't work, or that won't work, or that can't work. Like, if you know what technology is going to be like in 38,000 years, especially with alien species. But with orcs, you can say, that shouldn't work, and you can and someone who plays orcs can just reply, yeah, I know, but I think it does. And that is a completely valid response. And that fact is actually manifested in one of their rules, which is the red ones go faster. And that means that if you have a machine that is painted red or has go faster red stripes, it goes faster. It literally does. And there's just something about that I find adorably hilarious, and it just makes me so happy. I think it is just because I've been playing too many serious races. But I'll get to my serious races later. Today has been about funny races, specifically Orkses. And Orkses are funny. See you guys, and don't forget to go WAG!